There's only one woman in the Bible whose name became a symbol of danger, deception, and spiritual collapse. Her name is Jezebel, and her story is far darker and far more important than most people ever realize. Jezebel first appears in 1 Kings 16:31. The verse says King Ahab married her. She was the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians. This matters because Israel had been warned not to form marriages with nations who worshipped other gods. Jezebel brought Baal worship into Israel, and she did not bring it quietly. She brought it with force, confidence, and control. In 1 Kings 16:32-33, Ahab built a temple for Baal. Jezebel supported hundreds of prophets of Baal and Asherah. The nation God had shaped through Abraham, Moses, and the prophets was drifting again. Jezebel's influence was strong, and Ahab followed her lead. Then Elijah enters the story in 1 Kings 17. Elijah announced a drought. It was a direct challenge to Baal, who was believed to control rain. From this moment forward, Jezebel and Elijah stand on opposite sides. Elijah speaks the words of God. Jezebel tries to silence them. 1 Kings 18:4 says Jezebel was killing the prophets of the Lord. Obadiah hid 100 of them in caves. This shows her character. Jezebel used her authority to erase the voice of God from the nation. This sets the stage for the showdown on Mount Carmel. In 1 Kings 18:20-40, Elijah challenged the prophets of Baal. They cried out for hours. Nothing happened. Then Elijah prayed once. Fire fell from heaven and burned the sacrifice, the altar, and even the water. The people fell and cried out, "The Lord, He is God." It was a clear moment of truth, but Jezebel did not repent. 1 Kings 19:2 shows her response. She threatened Elijah's life. She had seen God move. She had heard the truth. Her heart remained closed. This is one of the strongest themes in her story. Miracles do not change a heart that refuses God. Later, Jezebel showed how far she would go to get what she wanted. In 1 Kings 21, Ahab wanted Naboth's vineyard. Naboth refused because it was family property. Jezebel formed a plan. She wrote letters in Ahab's name. She told the leaders to accuse Naboth of cursing God and the king. He was killed under false charges. Jezebel then told Ahab to take the vineyard. 1 Kings 21:15 records this moment. Her actions were deliberate. She valued power more than justice. She valued control more than truth. This event brought God's direct judgment. 1 Kings 21:23 says dogs would eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. It was a sign of disgrace. It showed how her influence would end. Time passed. Ahab died. Jezebel remained unchanged. Then God raised up Jehu in 2 Kings 9. Jehu came to Jezreel. Jezebel painted her eyes and stood at a window. She tried to use charm and presence, but her influence was gone. Jehu asked, "Who is on my side?" Her own servants threw her down. She died instantly. 2 Kings 9:36-37 says dogs consumed her body. Elijah's prophecy was fulfilled word for word. Her life ends there, but her legacy continues. Jesus mentions a woman symbolically named Jezebel in Revelation 2:20. She led people away from God in the church at Thyatira. The name was used again because Jezebel represents something deeper. She represents rebellion. She represents influence used against the truth of God. She represents a heart that refuses to turn back. So what does her story teach? First, influence matters. Jezebel influenced Ahab. Ahab influenced Israel. One person can move a nation for good or for harm. Second, spiritual resistance is real. God spoke many times. Elijah performed miracles. The drought lasted years. Jezebel stayed the same. A closed heart will reject truth no matter how clear it is. Third, God's justice is sure. Judgment was delayed, but it was not removed. Elijah spoke the word in 1 Kings 21, and it came to pass in 2 Kings 9. God always keeps his word. Fourth, God always keeps a remnant. Jezebel killed prophets. Obadiah hid many. Elijah felt alone, but God told him in 1 Kings 19:18, there were 7,000 who had not bowed to Baal. Even when darkness spreads, God preserves his people. Last, Jezebel's story challenges us to choose who we follow. On Mount Carmel, Elijah asked in 1 Kings 18:21, "How long will you waver between two opinions?" The people had mixed devotion. Jezebel was committed to Baal. Elijah stood firm with God. Her story is not just about wickedness. It is about the danger of divided loyalty. It is about the power of influence. It is about the faithfulness of God even when a nation loses its way. Jezebel chose rebellion. Elijah chose obedience. The people had to choose who they would follow. And the Bible shows that God always honors those who stand with him,